Yo guys, Coach Theo here on Common Sense. Today I'm going to tell you how to force muscle growth and fat loss. And the way to force those things is by forcing progression. Okay? Might sound stupid, simple, and obvious. It might sound repetitive if you're someone that's watched my videos for quite some time. But I wouldn't be hammering down this point over and over and over if I didn't think it's one of the most important things for you to understand and focus on. Right? The reason I've made such amazing fitness results and why I'm in a position to coach and teach these things is because I got these big overarching principles right from the start, way before I knew all the technical stuff and minutiae details that you're probably obsessing way too much about. You know, the anatomy of the body, what function the different muscles have, what exercises targets a muscle, how much of them should I do, what split should I follow, what does my program look like, diet, what diet should I follow, what food should I eat, what should my macros be, intermittent fasting, prolonged fasting, how long, how big window, how long fast, and so on. Way before I knew all that stuff, I was steadily moving in the right direction still because I got these big principles right, like the one about progression. Okay? So I think that most people understand this. When you watch this, yeah, I understand. I have to progress, I think if you ask someone, you have a 60 kilo bench press, you want a 120 kilo bench press. Like, what will that process look like? I think most people understand that it's not that you go and bench press 60 kilos with 3 sets of 10 for however many times and suddenly have 120. No, you have to take steps on the way there. But still, the reason I'm talking about this so much is because in reality, I just don't see that people focus enough on this with clients I have, with the people that just ask for my guidance. Like this most recent client, a gym client, but I've been in contact when he trains with me, trains outside the sessions with me, and he's not progressing, even though I'm hammering down this all the time. He's not actively challenging himself more. And look, the most straightforward way to progress when it comes to training, we're going to talk about fat loss too. It's a little bit different, but it is, of course, in the gym, add weight. So you do the same reps on the same exercise with more weight, or you do the more reps with the same weight. But if you realize it's just a progression needs to take place, I just need to be challenged more somehow. That's how I know you don't have to know everything. If you just know that, it doesn't matter if you don't know everything else yet. It will come to you if you focus on the progression. So let's take an example here. Let's say I start training. I want a big chest. I'm limited to training at home. I can get some equipment here, but not a barbell. Some like improved calisthenics equipment, really. And I just know that a push-up targets the chest. That's what I know right now. Say that I'm weak, so I can't even do them on my feet. I have to be on my knees. Well, then I start there. I'm going to have to increase in reps on a bodyweight exercise like that. Eventually, I'll be able to do them on my toes. And at some point, I'll be able to do too many. So I'm almost just doing cardio or endurance rather than building muscle. So I'm going to have to find a way to make the push-up more challenging so that I can do lower reps again. So what I could do is get some of these handles or elevate my hand. I could stack books even, just to elevate my hands so I can get deeper. And now I have a longer range of motion. So if I did 20 reps on a regular push-up on the floor, I'll be able to do fewer on this. And if I can get back up to 20 on these now deficit elevated push-ups, I've progressed. And if I want to progress even further, maybe I get some rings, so I can get even deeper, and I can even make it more of a fly because I can move the hands out more, target the chest even more. And maybe I can even get a weight vest or some weight plates and put on my back when that gets too easy. You see, many of these things maybe I didn't know when I started. I just knew I want a big chest. I know the push-up, where's the chest. As I go, I find, by doing some research or something, finding more ways to challenge myself, right? So you see, again, it doesn't matter if you don't know exactly what it looks like from the start, as long as you keep this in mind, that my little curve, my line of what I do, it has to be moving upwards. Even if it's just at 1 degree. 1 degree for long enough becomes a big difference between these 2 points, right? So before we go to the fat loss, another example. When I had no plan for how I was doing this, but I just came up with it as I went. I had a bulk when I did, at the start of every workout, I had 5 sets of 5 on some compound. So I started at a lower weight than I could have like maxed out the 5x5 weight just to leave room for progression, because I know then that if I move myself up, I'll actually go beyond that point that I could have started at. But at some point, it's going to stop, because if we could just always just add the minimum to our 5 sets of 5, all of us would be benching 1,000 kilos, you know. So I recall on the incline bench, I could do 5x5 the last time on 90 kilos back then. And then at 92 and a half, yeah, I couldn't even do 5 on the first one. And so what I could have done is change. Now I start progressing reps or something instead. But what I did was I started doing paused reps. I've been doing touch and go reps, you know, bouncing it like that. But now I pause at the bottom. It's more challenging, and I move down in weight. Do the same thing again. Then I came back to 90 kilos, now with paused reps. And since paused reps are more challenging, I've made a progression. I have built more muscle on my chest. All right. So with fat loss, it's more like, if we assume that you could just do whatever, you know, follow whatever diet you have to, then yeah, it might be a progression in the sense that, you know, as you get in lower in body weight, you have to reduce your calories more, because your energy expenditure is lower, because you're using less, burning less energy for everything you do, because you're moving less weight, because you move less. So yeah, you might have to do progression that way. But when it comes to weight loss, that's when more people just struggle with their ability to adhere to a diet or weight loss regimen. And then you have to see progression more in a way of like if you fuck up, you feel like you eat stuff you're not supposed to, if you're doing fasting, you break the fast earlier and stuff, well, you have to see the progression even when you're not doing the ideal thing, you know. Let's say that your goal is to be able to do 72-hour fast, just for the sake of argument here. You've never been able to go longer than a day. Well, you have to then not give up and try to push it further. If you manage to go to 36 hours, you can't be thinking of, oh, but I was supposed to do 72. You've progressed. You've progressed. And if you are eating stuff you're not supposed to, you know, cheat meals or something, well, if you can eat less at those times, or if you can do a better option, you can't be thinking about that you shouldn't have done that at all, because it's a progression that you ate less. You're moving, you're closer to moving in the right direction, right? So that's the other thing. It's not like, oh, this diet didn't work at all, this fasting routine didn't work at all. You have to be in a constant state of improving and making progression. And when it comes to fat loss, it can be by doing fewer mistakes until you're doing well enough to actually be moving down in weight in this example. But you see, the whole point here is that it can happen in many different ways, whether it's building muscle or losing fat. It's just that this overarching principle of progression should always be something you have in mind. And that's why when it comes to, because some people, I guess, struggle with adhering to training too, but in my experience, it's funny, because the training is something you have to do, and the diet, it's more about what you stuff you don't do. Like if you fast, you don't eat at all. You're not supposed to eat too much. It's just refraining from doing something. Still, this is what people struggle the most with. And so the way I like to think of it is, whatever you come up with, you're going to eat in a daily calorie deficit, if you're going to do a keto diet, if you're going to do a prolonged fast, what I like to do is have an ideal week. Like, so let's take my weekly fast program, for instance. The ideal week looks like this: starting a fast on the Sunday evening, fasting through the entire Monday and Tuesday, break the fast on Wednesday, train upper body, eat again on Thursday, train lower body, rest and eat on Friday, train full body and eat on Saturday, eat and recover on the Sunday before you go on to start a new fast. And then when you get more detailed, there's certain amount of meals, certain macros, certain calories, of course. But if we have this as an ideal, let's say you broke the fast one day early on 1 week, well, if you can then eat the way you're supposed to, hit your workouts the way you're supposed to, it's still moving in the right direction when it comes to weight loss. It should be. It's just slower because the fast was a little shorter. So maybe over time you can push and be able to actually do this fast. Or if you have a daily calorie deficit, you overate on 3 of the 7 days on a week. Well, next time, if you manage to do it on 2 days, still progression. You have to be observed, like you have to be patient. Think long term with these things, and no one is. It's like, this isn't working, I'm not able to. But if you're making some kind of progress, it's just a matter of time. And that's a beautiful thing, as a trainer and coach, that I know that as long as someone does what I tell them to do, or if they fail, just keep improving, moving closer and closer to that. I know that if this is going on, it's just a matter of time. It will happen. It is guaranteed. It's forced like that, right? Progression. Always be making progression. Like, always be thinking of that. I could go on about this. Like, yeah, the last point I'll make is I've been training. I was bulking. Now I'm bulking on my own body fat for a bit. I'm chilling a bit with the food, but I'm still very much pushing my training hard forward with the big lifts. I make progress with something almost every workout, definitely every week, and I'm quite advanced at this point. They tell you that progress slows down as you get more advanced. It's true, but it's still happening in quite a linear fashion if you get this over. I always go in knowing this is what I did last time, this is what I'm trying to beat. I beat it by at least this much almost every time. And I know that as long as this is taking place, in a few months, I'll be a way improved version of myself. So yeah, guys, leave a comment, tell me what you think about this, and like the video. And of course, I coach these things, as I've referred to in this video. So if you're interested, if you could use some guidance and support, I have the holistic bodybuilding service that I provide. So you can DM me on Instagram or email me, and I'll tell you about my different options for that. You can become a member of a channel to otherwise support me and my content. I appreciate that a lot. And please subscribe for more content about fitness, fasting, losing weight, building muscle, self-improvement, stoicism, mental health, philosophy, spirituality, mindset. It is a mindset, guys. Always be progressing. Peace.